Hey everybody, hope you're doing okay. We finally figured it out, and we're able to now run the ATEM switcher software on both the lighting computer and the iMac. And so this is how it's going to work, and this is how it looks right now. All right, so we've got the lighting computer running the ATEM software, and we have this guy right here is our new Multiviewer. It's a lot bigger, so it just kind of made sense to use that. And then it's in between the lighting and the ProPresenter iMac, so it kind of makes sense for you to both be able to see it. This is still running ATEM as well simultaneously because it lives on the network, so it can access multiple users can access it at the same time. This is now just a simple program output. So whatever the program is, that's what this will see. So you'll see here on here to make the keyers happen, which is the keyers are basically the lyrics that you see at the bottom part of the screen, and they can be other things too, sermon notes and all that. So one thing to note is this on-air button. If you're sending the computer feed, let's say before service or after service, you're sending announcements to the stream that will look like this. You want to make sure, first of all, of course, that program is having computer sent to it, all right? So the computer feed is sent to it, but what's easy to forget is that the on-air button may still be selected because that's what runs the lyrics in the lower thirds. So you need to make sure that's off for the computer feed. When we start worship time, what you want to do, and let me show you the difference here. This is a good screen to show you. So you can kind of see the difference when I'm clicking on air, off, on air, off, on air, off. And I can't really explain why it does that because I'm not smart enough, but we just can't have on air on. It's just the way that the masking works. And so anyway, that's for slides, pre-service and post-service. Now, if you're gonna run a camera, all right, we've got the cameras running here. So lighting tech, you'd be over here, okay? And what you're gonna do is, for the songs, when the service starts, you would, of course, you could bring the lights up, the usual process. And then you would basically click between camera 1 and 2. We might have a third camera, fourth camera, whatever, but it's all right here. It's really, really easy to do. So here's camera 1. When you do that, this is what happens, okay? See right here, I'm gonna switch back to computer. That's the computer feed, okay? Now, let's go back to camera 1, camera 2. All right, and then this would be like camera 3 and so on, okay? Okay, so camera 1. You'll notice there are no lower thirds or lyrics over that just yet. And notice this says program, and that's exactly what this is too. This is also the program. Real nice big image there. Okay, let's go back to ProPresenter. There are no lower thirds or anything overlaid on top of the camera because they don't overlay a whole slide over that. So instead, the ProPresenter person would have this ready, okay? And instead of seeing a big green screen like that, we have to use that. It's kind of like a green screen like the newscasters use. So that's your computer, but the program is what the stream shows. Okay, so it's different. As soon as I click this lower third lyric here, oops, I did something wrong. Hang on. I clicked it, but it, here you go. Yep. It's not on air. So this has to be on air. All right, so as soon as I do this, boom. All right. So the workflow would be worship starts, let me back up. Let's go to, go off air. All right, service starts. You would bring the lights up, and then here's the first camera. And you've got a couple seconds here before we start to sing. As soon as we start to sing, you can cue this on-air button or do it earlier, whatever. Boom, lyrics, okay? So to get lyrics over it, you have to have whatever camera you're using, and then has to be on air, okay? It's really hard to explain, but that just has to be on, and it's called an upstream key. Excuse me. There's some dust back here. Anyway, so these are the settings for it, and it's a chroma key, and I barely understand this really enough to do this, but anyway, so this is how it works. Alrighty, so then you would just sit here and work through the camera angles. Let me show you what that would look like. Okay, so here's like camera 2. All right, now say we had another camera like 3, that would be that one, and then camera 4, whatever. Okay, so that's how that would work. And so let me get back to the screen here, go full screen, because this is really the way it, you know, it's kind of designed to be seen. But so yeah, got our 3-4 cameras here. This is just a slides feed, and that just sends the slides computer. But just important to remember, if you want to send a clean computer feed to the live stream, to the program, all right, which is feeding our live stream, this has to be off. Otherwise it'll be all pixelated. Make sure that's off. When it's time for worship, you want to switch over to the camera and then turn on air on. All right, that'll make sure that the lyrics and sermon points and all that show. We don't have to do this fade here necessarily. I mean, it can be nice to have like switch between camera 1 and camera 2, but I haven't quite figured out yet how to do more than 2 sources. So like, you probably have to do this in camera 2 and then do the fade out, which looks like this, like that. And then I guess you would have to go like camera 3 back to 1, I guess. Let me try that again. And then you do it again. So yeah, that's just going back and forth right now. And then camera 2, camera 3. Yeah, it's not very, you'll see why I just prefer for you guys just to go click, click, click. It's just easier that way. And I don't really particularly like how this looks anyway. So this is called a cut, just a hard cut, and I think it's fine, honestly, guys. I really do. Okay, that's how that works. There's a lot more that I could probably get into. It's kind of complicated software, but this user interface is easy. So right off the bat, you can be clicking buttons with ease. It's just understanding why you're doing it. Okay, so the program, again, is what feeds the stream. And how do we know that? This has 3 auxiliary outputs. Those are completely different than program preview. These have 3 aux outputs, 1, 2, 3. Auxiliary 1 feeds the projectors. So what's going to the projectors? Right now it's programmed, but we can make it whatever we want. It can just be just the computer feed if we wanted, which we always do. But right now we're using program so we can see the camera and lyrics over it. All right, and then auxiliary 2, check it out, program, okay? That's why whatever you change on the program bus here is what will show on the stream, all right? Alrighty, and auxiliary 3 is actually unused right now. So I might do another video later about how other things work, but just a very, very quick overview. The media stuff, we don't really use this at all right now. We don't really have a need to. This is more like for news stations and other whatever. They can overlay their own graphics and stuff on things. We don't really have a need for that. Audio is fairly important, just to know that this is the audio that feeds the stream. And so the audio that actually feeds the stream is, it's this, I believe it's either the RCA or the XLR. I want to say it's the XLR. But anyway, that's what feeds the streamer box. But of course, we're doing it a little differently this time, and we're actually just going to be recording everything to that HyperDeck, the HyperDeck Mini Studio. But this tells you that you're getting audio, which is good, really good to know. Here, your cameras, all of our cameras are getting audio through their built-in microphones. So that's kind of neat to see. And there's your master. But Again, when we get this HyperDeck Studio, it's gonna, this will matter, but this is not feeding the live stream anymore. It's gonna be all recording to that HyperDeck. Okay, so that's kind of the way to think about it. The cameras, this is a really neat feature, but this only works if you have Blackmagic design cameras. We didn't go that route because they're more expensive and they're more complicated. So they don't come with lenses, and you have to, you know, they're a lot more expensive and they're not very intuitive. So right now we're just gonna stick with what we have. I looked up a way to try to figure out how to control the camera settings from here, because this would be so cool. You can like do zooming in from this software on every camera. It's the coolest thing, but it only works with Blackmagic design cameras. Okay, so that's basically an overview of that. These are the settings for the key, and the upstream key is the lyrics, sermon notes, whatever. Those are the settings for that. So it should stay that way, just a heads up. And I do believe that should be it, and I will probably call that good. I just wanted you to kind of see again what this looks like. We have our multi-viewer up here now. Okay, let me switch camera 1 and camera 2. So this will show you this is what's live program. That's what's actually sending to program, and also to the stream. This is the preview. This is like your other shot. Okay. And so this shows you what, you know, it gives you the option of seeing what another camera source is. And then nothing has changed here. This is the same. And then this is just a program output, which is just kind of nice to have. And then this is the actual ATEM right here. Okay. Now don't get confused by this. All right. I thought we could actually use this to do the same function, but we can't. The way this works is these 1, 2, 3, these are the auxiliaries. So remember, aux 1 is the projector. Auxiliary 2 is the stream. Auxiliary 3 is nothing. And again, the HyperDeck recorder, that's actually just going to record the program output. So that's why I'm making such a big deal about program. Program is what's live. That's what's going to be recorded to that disc recorder. Okay, here are your inputs. So just say, you know, for whatever reason you need to change what's going to aux 1, the projectors, aux 2, the streamer. You just do that here. So aux 1, I have it on program. Okay, aux 2 is on program as well, but it can be anything. And so that can be, you know, computer. Could be, which we wouldn't do that because it's green. Okay. Here's just the camera with nothing else. Here's just this. Actually, it's not the slides computer anymore. It's now that camera too. So, and this would be nothing. Okay, that's right, because I changed the settings. 10 is now the slides computer. All right, I'm gonna take that tape off there after this is done. Hope it makes sense, and if you have any questions, please let me know. Alrighty.